While the count is continuing, it is increasingly clear that the ALP will not hold its second Senate seat here in Western Australia. Clearly, this is a very difficult realisation for me and for the Labor Party. However, the prospective loss of Labor's second seat at this election is most difficult for those Australians who needed the insurance of a stronger Senate in order to hold back the Abbott government's agenda. All of those people who will be affected by Abbott's cuts to education, to health, to pensions, and his attacks on working conditions and penalty rates. And all of us who will be affected by the Abbott government's lack of meaningful action on climate change, damaging both the environment and our economy. Contrary to the statements of Senator-elect Joe Bullock, it is only Labor that can be trusted to look after the interests of working people and their families. Sadly, for Labor to be reduced to just one senator out of 6 at this election is a devastating blow to our capacity to do so. It is also a great personal blow. It is a blow to progressive voters that I would be replaced in the Senate by someone who I have known for many years to be deeply homophobic, to be anti-choice, and has recently emerged disloyal to the very party he has been elected to represent. I had pointed this out on many occasions that Labor was at risk of losing a second Senate seat here in Western Australia, and I am ashamed that a factional power grab was privileged over principles deeply held by an overwhelming number of party members and indeed West Australians more broadly. It goes to the heart of the need for reform, reform in the Labor Party. We know the SDA has a large voting bloc within the ALP. The leadership of the SDA have consistently used their bloc to pre-select members of parliament who are anti-marriage equality and who are anti-choice. And I do not believe that this reflects the views of the membership. My first job as a young person off the family farm was in 1990. It was as a Coles shop assistant. The young man on the checkout next to me was gay, as was another young woman in the variety section. And I know the overwhelming majority of people in retail support the rights of their gay workmates. Joe Bullock, as their union leader, clearly does not. Far from my views on these issues being fringe, as he has claimed, it is Joe Bullock and other members of the SDA leadership who are on the fringe of mainstream views. I did everything I could to deliver the best result for Labor at this election. However, the result of the pre-selection, placing me behind Joe Bullock, meant for me I felt like I had every day of campaigning with my arms tied behind my back. The Senate rerun was always going to be a different kind of election with more scrutiny on the candidates. And hiding Joe Bullock behind Labor's important messages was never going to be enough. I raised my concerns with the National Secretary and the National Executive, explaining why I did not believe Joe Bullock had the capacity to lead our Senate team. I and others warned that placing him above me on the Senate ticket would reduce Labor's chances of holding 2 Senate positions, and ultimately we know that these warnings were not heeded. Over the last few years we have faced situations in the party where factionalism and the power of factions has ridden roughshod over the party and the leadership's capacity to make the right decisions on pre-selections and on occasion on policy. And this is one of those occasions, I'm afraid to say. The exertion of power by too few is eroding public trust in the ALP and in unions. And this is especially the case here in WA, where ordinary branch members represent just a fraction of the overall state executive in lower house pre-selections and have no representation at all in Senate pre-selections. I don't think this is about unions members exercising too much power in the party. In fact, it's caused by union members having no say in the deals done to deliver parliamentary seats by union power brokers, ignoring the views and needs of the working men and women they represent. Western Australia is significantly behind other states when it comes to democracy in the Labor Party. We are the least democratic of all the nation's ALP branches. This creates a lack of public trust, even in our own loyal membership. This lack of public trust has, I think, undermined our ability to win elections and therefore to act on behalf of the very workers our affiliated unions represent, and indeed to act on behalf of the good of the whole community. If anything good comes from this devastating loss, it will be the impetus for reform of our great party.